Hello and welcome to Chomping at the Bit, where I talk about all the newest things and give my thoughts on the latest films and other topics. Well, just 30 minutes ago, I got finished watching Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Once and Always, the 30th anniversary of the original series. And holy crap, it really was something that was worth in the making. I mean, I know most people always when everybody thinks of Power Rangers, they always think of the original show. And yeah, I know I'm one of those fans. I'm one of those fans, but I also have been a massive fan of the entire franchise and been a fan since Lightspeed Rescue. But overall, the series is the special is it truly was something special. It was great. I mean, we already had the explosive opening. Yeah, Robo Rita is here. Is just literally here. It just shows Billy on the ground, and of course he's facing down Robo Rita. He morphs. The other Rangers jump into action. It obviously explodes off into an opening with the opening Go-Go Power Rangers theme. They do well. They do well against the old putty patrollers, and also she brings back robo versions of Minotaur and Slizzard, which is the method she uses to capture few of the other Rangers. But while this is happening, before all that happened, while this first opening fight happens, Billy's about to get annihilated by Rita's energy powers, and Trini, which again in the spirit, which again most of all the original characters, so basically like Jason, Kimberly, Tommy are all more or less there in spirit. They're just there, and they're more or less just morph. We only hear their voices off camera in the distance. We never actually see them in civilian form. But it sounds pretty close to what they sound like, at least. So there you go with that. And I know they're gonna bring up the whole thing in the room about, that both Srini Kwan and Jason David Frank are no longer with us. And yeah, it does feel that, but it really kind of feels like they really were there in spirit with us. And just to actually acknowledge Tui Trang's real life death, she sacrificed herself and taking the shot for Billy, and she's destroyed and killed. We cut to 1 year later, and yeah, her funerals happen, and they're gonna just go there and just pay the respects 1 year after her death happened. And of course, we also have her daughter Ming, who is, of course, still grieving over the fact, and of course, Zach and Billy essentially, well, more or less, Zach has essentially assumed the role of being a guardian to Ming. And yeah, so basically they're helping raise her. But she still has that burning feeling that since her mother died, she's been feeling this burning rage to get revenge. And again, this is kind of what the story really entails about. And again, it really kind of shows that, yeah, when people say the idea that, yeah, of course, they were teenagers with attitude, but really more or less the original team were kind of really, they were just goody goods in a way. But yeah, Ming really acts like she is a teenager with attitude because, again, she wants revenge for what this robot version of Rita Repulsa did to her mom. So yeah, after she destroys Trini, she retreats and obviously reestablishes her moon palace. And the whole problem is now that she brought back robot versions of two famous Mighty Morphin Power Ranger monsters, Minotaur and Slizzard. and using their power to actually capture other Rangers so she could power a sort of time portal to go back in time and essentially destroy the Rangers before they even were recruited by Zordon. So that's the basic plot summary, but here's where we're going to get into the nitty-gritty. So everyone, spoilers incoming. Now, the reason how Robo Rita came about is one crazy thing. Now, if any of you who have been fans of the franchise, we all know who Zordon is. He in space, which is which technically at the time was the last season of Power Rangers. And we were supposed to tie up everything that happened in the previous 6 seasons from Mighty Morphin up to Turbo. That was supposed to tie everything all together and bring the whole franchise full circle and be the absolute series finale. So the Red In Space Ranger is told by Zordon to shatter his time warp tube, and energy release from his tube would go out and cleanse the universe of evil. But I think, and again, since we already know the morphing grid itself is basically a massive flux beyond space and time that has infinite possibilities and energy, Billy was trying to find a way to try to possibly bring Zordon back and resurrect him somehow. But ultimately, it turns out the spiritual essence of Rita Repulsa. So they do acknowledge that, yes, the real Rita Repulsa was cleansed, and yeah, she's good, but the dark essence of herself that was evil, it was scattered across the universe. Now, initially, I would assumed if there was a robot version of Rita out there, and since I figured this was going to tie into the latest season of Power Rangers, Dino Fury, and eventually we're going to get later on this year, Cosmic Fury, that a villain from the series Beast Morphers named Scrozzle, alongside, and was probably ordered by Lord Zed to reconstruct Rita using a robotic body. But like I said, the spiritual essence of Rita was scattered across the universe, and it reconstituted into that energy flow that Billy was hopefully going to use to try to bring back Zordon. And it obviously cracked through the tube and infected Alpha 5. Either it's Alpha 5 or like one of the slightly, or I know, I think in Wild Force it was titled as Alpha 7. And of course, Alpha was voiced by, of course, the original actor for Alpha, Richard Horvitz, who we all know. If you've seen like The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, he plays the voice of Billy. And he's also voiced many characters throughout cartoons and video games over the years. So the only notable one I know him from is that he was Orthopox in Destroy All Humans. So yeah, Rita takes over Alpha 7 and reconstitutes herself, creating the robot version that we see. Now that was a crazy twist that we saw. So that pretty much explains how Robo Rita came to be. And that was crazy. So again, they pretty much noticed all that happening. And of course, we already know a year later, Billy, we kind of see what most of them are kind of been up to. Billy has a massive tech company called Cranston Industries. And of course, again, that's just a front because there actually is a command center underneath the company building. So yeah, that's what happens. And of course, since Zach was at that peace conference, most likely he actually became a congressman. So that's a little interesting development. So I guess after being at a global peace conference in the original show, well, at least the in-universe reason, we already know. I mean, most Ranger fans know the official reason why he was written and left the show. We already know the official reason, but the whole point is he gave up his congressman position to help raise Trini's daughter. And of course, Ming even blames Billy for essentially bringing back Robo Rita and effectively being responsible for getting her mom killed. So yeah, again, Ming has that whole attitude problem of being a teenager and wanting revenge. But you can see deep down she has that small bit of fire and passion and heart to want to be a hero, but she's going all about it the wrong way. And that's really about it. So once we find out that a year later, once Robo is back and they capture Jason, Tommy, and Kim, they call on Rocky and Kat, and they actually create secondary connection power coins, which are sort of like proxy connections to the Morphin grid. So that's the only reason how they have the Dino coin powers. So there you go with that. And it's just the sort of thing though. They go around and Robo Rito launches an entire assault on Earth, and of course I think they probably try to get other rangers involved to try to help out with fighting the other patrols. We don't actually see them. We only see the Mighty Morphin team fighting. And it's good. I mean, the suits are improved. The stunts are pretty well done in the show, because I mean, again, this is Power Rangers, so you're not really expecting a lot. You just expect the Rangers to be suited up and kicking butt with martial arts, and that's about it. And yeah, they do. And also, I do like the little member berries they do kind of point out, because yeah, this is all a continuous 30-year continuity with all the other Ranger series and teams out there. Like one of them they show is Buzz Blast from the recent series Dino Fury, which again at the end of Dino Fury they open up I think the two people that run Buzz Blast, Jane and the cyborg J-Borg, who's technically like her assistant or whatever. Yeah, they opened up another branch of Buzz Blast out in Angel Grove. So yeah, there's that little tidbit right there. But also, as that's happening over the course of time, we already know that since Rita was building a time portal to go back and give information to her past self, so she could team up and destroy the Rangers before Zordon ever recruits them. But she actually captures other Rangers to power that time portal. And the thing is, when we see her later on the Moon Palace with that device, she's captured multiple Rangers. I think she's captured the Phantom Ranger, she's captured the Black and Yellow in Space Rangers, the Beast Morpher Red, Blue, and Gold Rangers, the Red, Blue, and Green Lost Galaxy Rangers, and of course, I think the red and white Dino Thunder Rangers. So multiple Rangers were taken, but not every single one of them. Also, they also got the Wild Force Lunar Wolf Rangers. So yeah, you got at least a good chunk of them. And of course, I think because since Ming obviously is still not wanting to just do things on her own, and of course Zach and her have a bit of a heart-to-heart, saying that yeah, you shouldn't be doing this because you aren't ready to be a Ranger, and you don't understand what it really means to be a Ranger. You think it's all about the quippy puns, so you bring a little bit. There's tiny little pieces of meta humor in there, and that's something I do like about Power Rangers when it actually has brought up some of those tropes. Like one of them was like Kat bringing up the idea that that the putties sound like angry turkeys, which is actually pretty dang funny. And of course, you know, Ming is still obvious. Ming is angry, wanting to get revenge, but she actually goes off and tries to fight the putties and helps defend people on her own without the powers. And she actually tries to morph a couple times, but it doesn't work. And even like they actually use like a little bit of they actually just use a powerful electromagnet that Billy upgrades at like a scrapyard that his company owns for spare parts and whatnot. They actually use it to capture the Robo Minotaur and Slizzard. But also because Ming is still wanting revenge, she goes out there and actually takes a new and improved version of the rat bug that can just fly and not have to just go through another dimension to get to the command center this time. It's just Billy's personal little car. And I think along the way, yeah, I think a couple does get attacked, And I would figure, since it's not far from the Cranston Industries parking lot, I figured that those two men were actually employees of the company, and of course they're romantically involved, obviously. So again, second the actual another section, second acknowledgement of LGBT representation in Power Rangers, which we saw with the first time we've seen it with the not Beast Morpher, the Dino Fury Green Ranger Izzy Garcia. She's the first acknowledgement of a gay or lesbian couple in Power Rangers. And again, once again, they treat it like it's no different than anything else out there. And that's what I like. That's what I like to do. It's better when it's treated like it's no different than anything else, and not just put on a pedestal like most people are trying to do nowadays. But it's just that they know, yeah, I can understand it, but you just don't, but it shouldn't be integral to, it shouldn't always be integral to the story. It's just good for character. It's just more or less just good for for just a little bit of characterization for some of these characters. You see it with Izzy, and it's only small because you see after like Min just goes full throttle and just straight runs over the putties with the rat bug. And of course, the only thing you see them is just that you just see them run up and hug each other, and they see the car fly off. But if I'm figuring that those two guys were employees, I would assume, hey, wait a second, isn't that the boss? Isn't that the boss's car? It's like I would just love to hear. I would have just at least wanted them to say that kind of line or something, but that doesn't happen. So of course, but also a little small thing we find out is the reason how Rita was able to capture a lot of the Rangers, because Robo Minotaur actually has a tracker in his shield that can only track the Rangers when they're morphed. So when they're unmorphed, obviously, again, they can't be taken because Rita actually needs them in their morph state to power her device. So they find a quick way around it. And of course, I think like in order to get on the Moon Palace to try to save the other Rangers, I think Billy develops a one-time use only cloaking device to get up there, and they teleport on there, try to save it, but of course Ming gets captured by Rita and of course held hostage. And the same thing plays out at the very beginning of the show, where of course Rita's about to give the death blow to Billy, but Ming intercepts it, but Trini's Morpher takes the brunt of the damage, and it actually charges the Morpher. And she gets a vision of what her mother was like and what she meant to her friends in the original show. Once again, proving the spirit of Tui Trang was still with us in this series. And it was just so beautiful because again, they really try to acknowledge that yes, this is the legacy, and the legacy carries on through her daughter, and that is a great tribute to her. It honestly was perfect. So yeah, and I see the people who are in the chat and the two who are watching right now. So yeah, you're getting my thoughts on this whole story. So after that, the Rangers obviously it's Morphin time, and they seriously kick serious ass with the power weapons. And it is great. Hell, they literally even show the monsters getting stabbed by the weapons. And like one point where like Rita is obviously trash talking, where she actually she does her thing where she actually makes her monster, where she knocks Lizard out onto the lunar surface, and she uses her magic wand to make it grow. And of course, as that's happening, I think Billy just runs up behind, just stabs Robo Rita. It was like, okay, that was easy. So you got her distracted. But yeah, she just temporarily powers down, but she boots back up again. And I think Billy and Ming go out and try and activate and use the Megazord and try to hold them off for a bit. And while Rocky, Cat, and Zach are busy fighting Robo Minotaur. So yeah, they defeat him. They go up into the Megazord and destroy Slizzard, freeing the Rangers from the snakes that have turned them into those action figures they were used to power Rita's time portal device. And once again, they finally pull back using the power bow and destroy Robo Rita once and for all. So yeah, happy ending. The Rangers are safe. All the Rangers are safe. But another interesting little tidbit that happens, they get an incoming transmission from both Adam and Aisha, and they're on a ship going to the Sirius system, and they are trying to get a run in with the Trubian Empire from SPD. So that whole thing with that little tagline on their SPA, we are seeing the genesis of SPD with them. It starts with them. And I think of course, we already know with Commander Kruger from SPD, he was probably one of the sole survivors of the planet Sirius. And of course, again, the Trubian Empire is led by Emperor Grum, so most likely they're obviously going to be preparing for another invasion. They're going to be preparing for their invasion in the next couple of years. So again, this series kind of brings a lot of things full circle. And of course, they also bring up the Accretion Rangers, and they actually go back with, because we already know in the original series, in the Zeo, Billy goes off to Aquitar to help out the Accretion Rangers with a crisis that's happening on their planet, and he actually stays on there in the planet. But again, he's back on Earth, and again, they acknowledge that he did have a girlfriend who was one of the Accretions, and he's gonna go back once he ties up with all of his business stuff with his company here on Earth. Once he's done with all of that, he'll come back and start helping the other Rangers restore them back to normal. And another small, great little tidbit, I know Soul of the Dragon acknowledged the fact that, yeah, Tommy has a son named JJ Oliver. We learned about this in Dimensions in the Ninja Steel special for 25 years. Dimensions in Danger. But we also find out further from Soul of the Dragon, and even further confirmation in this special, that Kat is the mother of their son, JJ Oliver. So yeah, Tommy and Kat are married, and JJ is their son. That really brings everything full circle. And I am so happy with this whole special. It celebrates the 30 years this franchise has graced the silver screen, and even a couple big screen adaptations. Though the 2017 film was kind of mad because it basically was just a sort of like Chronicle style retelling of Power Rangers, because I think they were trying to go too serious with it, but honestly, I just think it just didn't really work all that well. And I mean, it worked better when it was when it worked better in continuity a little bit, but everything really came full circle. And at when the show ended, when we got to the credits, it showed a little clip from the original show where Amy Jo Johnson was playing guitar and singing a song, and obviously all the original 6 Rangers were all there, and they acknowledge they did this in loving memory of Tui Trang and Jason David Frank. That was so heartwarming to acknowledge them both in this special. And even though they are no longer with us, they always said the tagline, once a Ranger, always a Ranger. And that is why this franchise holds a very, very special place in my heart. Because you can be a Ranger. It is all about being selfless and having the duty to do what's right. And in fact, that's what superheroes always have aspired to be like. And what we as people should always aspire to be like. Just trying to be a good person and just trying to be good, kind, and fair to others. But even then, I know there's a lot of strife that goes on in this world, but as long as some of us can always do it and not do it with the intention of malice to try to bring about change, we should stop screaming about things changing and actually try to work together to find solutions to make that change possible. And if we can all do that, heck, even in like Megaforce, they even said that the only things that may still be surviving on the planet, that will be the ultimate survivors if anything goes wrong on this planet, would be humans. Because as long as we work together, we actually can make a difference and make a change. And that is the beauty and the spirit of Power Rangers. Thank you guys all for watching. This series, this special truly was good. And I really hope that if you are a Ranger fan out there, you are really in for something really great. And I say that to every one of my fellow Power Ranger fans out there. Go watch this special. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. You'll see what I mean. Thank you all for watching. And as I've said with my tagline before, and why I actually personally love Power Rangers so much, may God, the Force, and the power protect you always. See ya.